Slavery is back.
Welcome to a place where private business profit from a captive labour force, yet pennies are spent on medical services to a population in which the Indigenous, the poor and the mentally ill are overrepresented. Where isolation, humiliation and degradation are facts of life. Welcome to prison.
It depends who's telling the story, I suppose. The prisoners would have one view, the people who work in the prison system would have another, and I think it's up to people to decide where the truth is.
Give government propaganda and the media spin doctors the flick. And check out Doin' Time for news, views and tunes on prison issues from Guantanamo Bay to Christmas Island to prisons and detention centres everywhere. Every Monday at 4 p.m. on your community radio 3CR.
We are still fired up and we're still talking about revolution.
Hello and welcome to the Doin' Time show. This is 3CR Community Radio, 855 AM on the dial, streaming live on www.3cr.org.au. And this is a very special show, and just to warn listeners that there may be audio images of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples that have died. And we will certainly be playing some more Archie Roach music to honour his passing. Now, we're going to be hopefully interviewing Kath, who is going to be talking about her lived experience of prison, and she's a performer through Somebody's Daughter theatre company, which is presenting the premiere of She Swallowed That Lie, which is a unique Australian theatre production created and performed in collaboration with women who have lived prison experience and marginalised youth from regional Victoria. And this particular theatre production is playing at Chapel Off Chapel from the 25th to the 27th of August. And it's the story of 8 gutsy women and their life inside prison to life outside, told with a dash of humour and loads of heart. And so we're going to be speaking to Kath later on in the show, and also speaking with her artistic director. And they have very kindly agreed to take a break during rehearsals of the premiere theatre production to talk about the issues facing women in prison, and men too. And since 2011, there's been... Sorry, I was just having a look at the first interview here. I've gone a little bit out of order because we're not sure if we're going to be interviewing Felicity from The Torch. But while I'm at it, I'll introduce her next in a minute. But yeah, so we're going to be speaking with Kath and the director later on in the show, and they'll talk about the fact that, there's a lot of over-incarceration of not only women in prison, but also men in prison as well, and Indigenous people as well. And since 2011, The Torch has been providing art, cultural and arts industry support to Indigenous offenders and ex-offenders in Victoria through its Indigenous Arts in Prisons and Community program. And first up, I'm hoping to be interviewing Felicity Chaffers-Smith, who is an Aboriginal woman from South Australia who's currently studying for a Bachelor of Business with Swinburne University. And she's also an artist who enjoys sharing personal memories of growing up with her family. We're having some trouble getting on to Felicity, but if we don't speak to her today, we will definitely be speaking with her in the next week or two. But it's always good to promote the lived experience of prison on Doin' Time. And this is a very unique opportunity to do that. And then I'm hoping also to be speaking with Ian Rintel, and we'll be speaking with him. He's from the Refugee Action Coalition, to give an update on asylum seekers and refugees. But in the meantime, while we're waiting to see who we're going to be interviewing, let's listen to some Archie Roach.
When the night upsets me and my bad dreams won't let me
get to sleep at all. The whole night through. When the darkness surrounds me and all my demons just hound me, that's when I call and reach for you. You have always seen me through with all the times I've cried. I don't know what I would do without you by my side when I'm sad and lonely. And it seems like you're the only friend I found, at least one is true. When they all desert me and anybody tries to hurt me, oh, I turn around and reach for you. Sometimes I don't feel so strong, well, even when I try to be. Everything would turn upside down if you weren't here with me. 'Cause you fill my heart with gladness and don't criticize my madness. When I'm naked, cold and blue, 'cause you hold me till the morning, and slowly it comes dawning that is sacred when I reach for you.
This month, Melbourne's beloved art house Cinema Nova turns 30 and is inviting you to celebrate. Revisit Cinema Nova favourites with a curated program of popular features that Melbourne movie lovers took to their hearts, including Parasite, Call Me By Your Name, Lygon Street, Si Parla Italiano, and more. Tickets on sale now. Cinema Nova, Melbourne's favourite independent cinema since 1992, a 3CR supporter.
And you're back with the Doing Time show. We've just had a few technical difficulties. My apologies there. But we are going to be speaking with Ian Wintel from the Refugee Action Coalition. Hello, Ian. Welcome to the program.
Yeah, hi, Marissa.
We've just had a few technical difficulties trying to get on to an interview. It's extremely difficult. But anyway, we are going to be now speaking about refugees and asylum seekers, which is very, very central at the moment, isn't it?
Yes. Well, it's never very far away, I think, from the political mainstream. But it's one of the big things at the moment. So such big expectations with the Labor government, but we're not getting a lot of answers yet from the government. So people
we're
big
not.
Expectations, but not much movement yet.
Can we look at the latest media release that's been put out by the Refugee Action Coalition? Yep. About the two Iranian refugees in Port Moresby and how they were robbed at gunpoint when armed men broke into their unit?
Yes, yeah. No, well, that's not so so long ago. And look what's I've forgotten now. It's only a week ago. Maybe it's 10 days ago. Not quite 10 days ago. But it's just one more example of the kind of the general level of violence that the refugees have been subjected to. In Port Moresby. So the rascals actually broke into their unit. One was armed with a gun, two others with bush knives. They put a gun to the head of the younger refugee who was in the unit, and then proceeded to rob the place. So I mean, it's very lucky. In many other cases, actually, the refugees have been injured. They've been assaulted in these kind of armed attacks. It's very common for them to have guns pointed at them or to be knifed. In the assaults that take place, it's become routine. I mean, people may have seen on the news, the big issue when during the election of horrific scenes on the streets of Port Moresby with people armed with bush knives of hacking into people on the streets. But that's what the refugees have been confronted with. Simply as a routine part of their lives in Port Moresby.
Absolutely, and. Again, what's the Labor government doing about that?
Well, that's one of the big issues because, I mean, one of the reasons we wanted to really highlight, that because it is just one more indication, as I said, of the general levels of violence that they're subjected to, because most of the refugees kind of stand out, and given the levels of poverty and disadvantage which exist in Port Moresby, they think, someone, if they've got anything, a few tens of keeners in their pocket or, a mobile phone, then they become a very easy mark. They very often stand out in the community, and they become sort of just a very easy mark, a target for the robberies. It's one more reason why they shouldn't be in Port Moresby. They should be in Australia. They asked for Australia for protection in 2013. Many of them have been found to being refugees, but now they're still being sort of treated as people who can be dumped, and it doesn't really matter the level at which their human rights or their personal safety are abused. So it's part of our arguments about why people in offshore detention should be brought to Australia.
I mean, refugees have become routine targets, haven't they, of violent assault in Port Moresby, and 14 refugees are actually housed at the complex where the robbery took place. Has the attack, do you think that the attack will renew calls for the remaining 100 refugees to being held there by the Australian government to be evacuated to Australia?
Well, I think those calls are going to become louder. I think the longer people, are prepared to give the Labor government a, sort of a certain period of time, to, redress, the last 9 years of the coalition. But the Labor Party is committed to, offshore detention. But nonetheless, we thought there was likely to be some leeway. The people who had been previously medevaced and approved for medevac, medevac could be brought, to Australia. So there's no doubt, I think, that, every little thing which actually happens, which highlights the fact that people have not got any permanency, they've not got safety in Papua New Guinea or Nauru, those calls for, evacuation are going to increase. So while in this particular case it's the violence which the refugees have been subjected to, the fact is there are, tens of people who had been approved for needed medical transfer who were not transferred, that are still sitting there, still suffering, not getting the medical treatment. We've got people who are, really their mental health situation has deteriorated, badly, and you've got people who've been hospitalised for the last couple of months in Port Moresby because of their mental health distress. It's just appalling that the Labor government, really has turned a blind eye and a deaf ear to sort of very needed humanitarian response to get them somewhere where they can get the help they need, and most of all they need somewhere where they can get the freedom that they need.
Can you comment on the role of the pandemic and some of the devastating impacts that, generally speaking, on asylum seekers and specifically PNG?
Well, I mean, it's just a fluke, really, that we didn't lose anyone in Papua New Guinea. Like that's over the hump at the moment. But as we know, those spikes of infections can come back. We've got one guy who's in the Bamana prison. He's actually seen people in the Bamana prison die in the Bamana prison from COVID. He's had COVID himself. Many of the refugees have had COVID. So it's just a fluke that people didn't die because of the high levels of underlying other medical conditions that they suffer from because they are refugees. So it's been quite a bit of a worry that because at the moment the Australian government is saying that they've got no particular responsibility. They think that somehow they can put out a press release or some kind of notice that simply washes the hands of the people that they are responsible for putting there in 2013. And in that regard, it may not have been the Labor government that actually transferred people there in 2013, but they've got a responsibility because it was the Labor Party that actually negotiated the beginnings of the Pacific Solution, Mark II, which put people in those in those circumstances, and whether it's been the torture on Manus Island, whether it's now the risk of violence and COVID in Port Moresby, a piece of paper doesn't absolve them of the responsibility that they have. I mean, there's a wider issue which probably doesn't belong here, Marissa, but the fact that Australia didn't send hundreds of thousands of AstraZeneca or Pfizer doses to Papua New Guinea is something else, which I think is a particular condemnation, not of the Labor government, but the Labor government's got the chance now to make sure that anyone who needs a vaccination in Papua New Guinea can get it. We've got so many doses now which are just expiring needlessly rather than being provided to Papua New Guinea and other places that could use it.
Ian, thank you so much. You've really highlighted a really important health issue here, and it's been wonderful having you on the show. I wanted to interview you today anyway, that was going to have 3 interviews, and we've just got now the lovely Felicity. I almost got myself in trouble because I actually was trying to organise an interview and ended up going on air.
I see. Okay, no worries.
No, that's great, and this is the beauty of actually the pandemic as well. Doing shows from home can actually become quite fun, but it's all good. Ian, it's really lovely to have you, and I'm hoping we can talk to you again very soon.
Yeah, no worries, Mister. Thanks very much.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
You're listening to Radical Radio 3CR.
Get your free ticket to the upcoming Forum for Dwelling Justice, an activist-driven event featuring speakers including Senator Lydia Thorpe, Debbie Kilroy, Rouge Amity, Whit Gari, and more. The Forum brings together grassroots activists and campaign groups to strengthen solidarity movements resisting ongoing colonial dispossession, housing injustice, incarceration, and poverty. The forum ends with film screenings and a discussion between Uncle Larry Walsh, the filmmakers, and guests with lived experience of homelessness, displacement, squatting, and public housing. The event will run from 1 to 7 p.m. on Friday, the 26th of August at the Capitol Theatre, 113 Swanston Street, Narm. Entry is by donation. Join us to identify the radical potential for resistance to dispossession and displacement in Narm. To register, head to cur.org.au/events or check the 3CR website for details. The Forum for Dwelling Justice is brought to you by RMIT's Centre for Urban Research, a 3CR supporter.
And you're back with the Doing Time show, and I'm really honoured to have Felicity, who's going to be talking about the torch. Hello, Felicity. Welcome to the program.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
I'm sorry about all that, Felicity.
All good. No worries.
All good. You're on air now. But now, Felicity, I'm wondering if you could just first of all talk to us about what land you're from, and then talk a little bit about the torch and how it's helped you.
Sure. So I'm another Judy woman from South Australia. My connection comes through my mother's mum, so my maternal grandmother. And prior to getting introduced to the torch, there was only a limited amount of information that I had of my history, my family, my people. So that's where the torch came in and actually really opened up my eyes and helped me connect to who I am. So I was in prison. I've done 5 sentences, and it was during my last sentence, my longest one, that I learned who the torch was and engaged as a participant and really got stuck into it all.
Fantastic. And so you've had lived experience from prison, and now you're doing like an arts program, or you're doing art yourself?
Yeah, exactly. So the program, you start as a participant whilst you're inside, and you can put in requests for some resources. Like they put together these resource booklets about each person's mob, any other kind of requests like about your totem, about language, things like that. So that was a massive. That was massive for me because I didn't get to see my grandma when I was inside, and she passed away not long after I got out. So I learned a lot through the things that they gave me, the resource booklets. And once I got out, I stayed in contact with the torch and continued on as a in-community participant. And I got to. I still do my art. We have the Melbourne Art Fair on at the moment, which I've actually got a couple of pieces in. And this year's Confined, which is the biggest yearly exhibition that the Torch holds, I was actually selected as the promotional image, my artwork called Tiddalik. That was the promotional image for this year's exhibition. So that was pretty special.
It is very special. I'm so glad. And it's, Felicity, it's always good because, there have been a lot of large numbers of women in prison and also Indigenous people as well, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. It's, as it's so commonly said, we're overrepresented. We're, 3% of the Australian population, but we're over 30% of the prison population. So that, just kind of puts it into perspective, I guess. And being in the torch, there's obviously more men than women. But yeah, we kind of really get into it. And it's something that since I've been out, and a lot of other participants will probably attest to this as well, it's a healthy coping mechanism that we didn't have beforehand. Like painting, it's so therapeutic and healing and calming. And, it's one of my go-tos now that I don't have those unhealthy ways of dealing with things, thankfully. So, yeah, it helps in so many different aspects, and I can imagine life without it now.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it sounds like, from what I've been reading about the Torch, it helps artists to reconnect with culture and earn income from art sales, which you deserve, with 100% of the artwork price going directly to the artist, because sometimes I'm a little bit sceptical about, Indigenous art and the fact that sometimes it doesn't go directly to the artist. So this is wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, since getting involved in art and things like that, I've done some research, which I didn't know anything about the art industry beforehand. And yeah, you won't find another organisation like it, 100%. And since I've been out, I actually, when I was inside, I started studying a business degree, and I did my first year accounting unit when I was inside. Once I got outside, that kind of got put on hold with COVID, and I actually had, I've got two sons now, but, been crazy, expanding my family. But once I got out, I was offered a position as a accounts and operations assistant. So I'm on maternity leave at the moment, but I've been working there ever since. So it's a really full circle kind of thing. And this year's International Women's Day, I actually got to go back in prison through the front doors this time, up at Tarrangower, the women's prison.
Oh, yeah.
And I got to sit down, have a yarn with all the women and tell them how life's been for me. And it was so amazing. It's something that I'll remember for forever, because being in prison, all you hear and see are people that you know who have gotten out and then things have gone wrong, and one reason or another they've relapsed or reoffended and come back into prison. So you just see, you don't hear of many success stories. So to be able to be that for the women, that was massive.
It is massive, and look, for me, I'm finding it really refreshing being able to connect with a woman who's had lived experience from prison and is able to and is being an artist, because you're right, a lot of them are men. Yeah, definitely. There's too many prisoners, full stop. But majority of men. But yeah, fantastic. And are you a member of the Stolen Generation? No, not me. My grandmother is or was. She was. And some of there's a lot that she took to the grave with her. But some of the things that I know that she went through is crazy. But you're still you would still be taking on that transgenerational trauma. You're a descendant. Yeah, absolutely. So it's weird how it comes through as well, because my grandmother, a lot of our culture, she was forced to hide. She couldn't, share and stuff like that. So I kind of had to really dig out of her because that was her normal of not sharing it. It does get passed down. Absolutely. So the torch, where does it come? Who funds it? So it's funded. So it's a non-for-profit organisation, and it's funded. Justice are a large donor, and most of our funding, I think, comes through philanthropic. Yep. Sorry, it's hard word to say. That's okay. Tongue twister. It's just donations and grants. Okay, so it's not from corrections. Oh, so some does come from Justice Corrections. Wow. Certainly not all of it. Definitely. No, I get it. No, it's always good to know. Look, it doesn't really matter as long as the torch is helping people, from prison particularly. And it's not just even about prison. It's also about, looking at country and culture. So this is just made up of First Nations people, isn't it? Yeah. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples, as well. Felicity, I've just so enjoyed your company, and I really wish that we had more time. I'm actually going to be interviewing now Kath, who's a performer with the Somebody's Daughter theatre company, and we're going to be looking at the theatre production She Swallowed That Lie, and they're actually going to be taking a break from rehearsals to be interviewed. But is there any way I can interview you next Monday as well? Can I do that? Yeah, sure thing. Okay, let's continue our discussion. Can you put in your diary that we're going to be doing 4 o'clock this Monday coming? Can you lock that in? Locked in. I'm saving it now. You are amazing, Felicity, because I'd really like to have a chat to you again and continue our interview. We do this a lot on the Doing Time show because it's really, really important for women in prison to be represented on our show. And I don't mean that in tokenism. I mean that very sincerely, that we need to have more women. Yeah, absolutely. I'll chat with you all day long. I can definitely go on about my experiences and how amazing the torch has changed my life. So please. I'd love for it. Okay, I'll ring you on this number at 4 o'clock this Monday. Thanks for next Monday, which would be the 29th, I believe. 29th, yeah. Good on you, Felicity. Have a great week. Talk to you then. You too. Bye. Bye.
Hi, we're from Fitzroy Primary School and you're listening to Community Radio on 3CR.
Hi, my name's John A. Tate, and I've collected hundreds of songs about footy and sport. So we've put together a program called The Sporting Record.
Hang on, it's not all about your records, John A. Em and I are also here to cast a critical 3CR eye over all things sport.
Join John, James and me every Thursday at 4 p.m. for The Sporting Record, right here on 8:55 3CR. Kicking off on Thursday, August 25th at 4 o'clock.
And you're back with the Doing Time show, 3CR Community Radio, and it's approximately 4:34, and you just heard an interview with Felicity, who was talking about the torch. And coming up now, we're going to be speaking with Kath, who is a performer at She Swallowed That Lie, and that's with the theatre company Somebody's Daughter. I'm really excited to be talking to Kath, and also Karen, who is the director. Hello, welcome to the program.
Hello.
Artistic director, I should say.
Hello.
Hello. Okay, who would like to start?
I will, Kath.
Kath? Go on, Kath.
How you going?
Good, thanks. I had to formally introduce for listeners just so they knew what was happening. Yeah, it's good to hear your voice, Kath.
Thank you.
Can you tell us, what inspired you to go into Somebody's Daughter and this theatre production?
It's a short answer. The short answer is it was an introduction to something creative to do when I was in prison, and something that I'd never done before, and inspired me a great deal. They inspired me, the theatre company, to get involved with the creative arts.
Fantastic. And you're a writer too, aren't you, Kath?
I am. Yes, sometimes I am. When I write stuff. Thank you.
And what do you think are the main things for you with this particular performance that you're going to be doing?
Well, I think it's a great, for all of the cast, it's a great platform for them to, it's a very collaborative story, so everyone's got a little journey and a little story, and it's a great way and they're very passionate about their stories, and we are very passionate about our stories, so it's a great platform to be able to express those thoughts, feelings, words, songs, etc., on behalf of all the other women in prison.
Absolutely, because it's really important to capture the stories and the voices of the women who've experienced those cycles that leads to incarceration, isn't it?
Certainly is, because it's not a peek into prison life at all. It's not a peek into prison. People think as soon as you mention prison, they get all like prison porny and think that it's about bloody jail stories, and it's not.
No,
it's more than that.
Of course not. It's a very elegant production.
It is indeed.
And it's not just about jail. It's about, the way I see it, it's about real life people.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And we all have stories, and they're very, very simple. They're very real. They're very poignant and sad and uplifting.
I mean, it talks a lot about when I was having a look at it, She Swallowed That Lie. It's all centred around two main characters, isn't it? Who are 18 years old.
Well, yes, it is. I guess it's they're for me. I think they're not the most important, but they're the most impressionable.
Yeah.
To stop them from to stop those young people from going down the same path as me or some of the other horror stories from around St Kilda, you would do anything you can, wouldn't you, to stop young people being hurt and trying to protect them and send them on their way with a safer ending, hopefully. Sorry. Sorry.
And what date is this happening?
We start on this Thursday. It's our first show, opening night, which is exciting, scary.
Are you nervous?
Thursday. Two shows on Thursday, Karen.
We've got a preview and then
we've got so a preview and opening, and so
great.
Yeah, they're Karen questions.
Great. We'll speak to Karen in a sec. We don't want to leave you out, Karen. So, and this we'll speak about where it's playing in a second. So, Kath, let's talk about your like what's going to happen in terms of these performances. I mean, so which character are you? Are you allowed to say that?
Yeah, I'm Paulie. I'm Paulie, the crazy pigeon lady, the storyteller of St Kilda.
Oh.
Well, I live in St Kilda, so Karen and I started together, and it was sort of all about St Kilda, and that's where we started. So we got, they're the foundations, I guess, and we branched off. And there's, there's lots and lots of stories since I've been in St Kilda, really scary stuff. And, yeah, so it's based in St Kilda. We're trying to keep the girls, the two young characters, that's Bailey and Charlie, from getting stuck in St Kilda, I guess, on this old drug addiction and cycle of homelessness and all that sort of stuff. Social.
And what are the main messages that this production is going to give out, do you think?
That homelessness, that for me, is that young people need to be safe, I guess, and I think we need lots more services to stop young people putting a foot in jail ever, and I go back to more therapeutic communities rather than prison as an option for anybody really, within reason, I guess.
Absolutely. I mean, it's actually really positive for me to be doing this interview because I've been doing a radio broadcasting with the Doing Time show for many years now, and the thing that stands out for me is that I'm always doing stuff about violations of human rights week after week after week, and negative stories, all negative mostly, and especially, not just with Aboriginal deaths in custody and stuff that happens with the police, but also things that happen in prison with men and women. And so it's really great for me to be able to do an interview like this where it's positive.
Yeah, for sure. Good for us too to have something positive to say, actually.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, let's promote it. So Karen, can you just introduce your title, who you are?
Yeah, hello, I'm Karen Harper, and I'm the director of this show, Somebody's Daughter Theatre, and it's a very collaborative work. We basically started, COVID and the whole sort of lockdown, we were working in the women's, obviously we work in Dame Phyllis Frost Centre in Tarrangale with the visual art, and we've been inside the women's prison for many, many years, and we always have a production. It's a sort of every year we have a production, so we devise a new work with the women inside, and also the visual artists come in, and there's an exhibition and a new production, and generally it has 3 shows for outside audiences to come in. So you've got you get the dignitaries, you get the sort of the justice ministers and dignitaries, and sometimes members of parliament and so on. But you also get women's family, friends, supporters, the whole housing and health sector that supports the women incredibly well. And they come and see this show, and it's amazing. So it's a bit of a privilege. That's what happens. And then there's 2 shows on for the women, the mainstream women themselves, and we do 5 performances. So that finished in 2019, and then in 2020 we did a radio play, and we're putting it out as a podcast. That's another thing. We'll promote that later, but there's a little podcast about the show we did in 2019. So this show is very much, we're taking one little aspect of a couple little aspects of former shows. It's mainly a new production with the people that we've got, but there are a couple of songs and that from the, I won't give too much away, but the little bit of Gatwick revisiting and a few little things like that. So it's very exciting. This cast is absolutely wonderful. It's really, I guess there's a lot of truth telling, but it's done in such a way that I think we're taking people through a wonderful journey of, I guess there's resilience in there and bucket loads, but we're also looking about what happens how do you intervene before people hit the system, before they are tumbling around, down, lost through the cracks sort of thing. So it's very much a little hero story.
That's great, and it's actually, when you say theatre production, this is probably a very silly question, but is it a play?
It's a play. This is a play, yes. We do a lot of our play, Marissa, that we always have songs that weave the storyline. Sometimes songs are a bit of light relief, but sometimes a bit of dancing, and that we all want to have a little bit of fun. I mean, I think people, that's how people survive. Some of the humour that when you're working with people is it's pretty funny, and so there has to be ways where people can just leave some of that, some of the trauma and the horrors of just real life existence behind, and people are quite funny. So we do have some songs that weave the action, but it's a play. It's about 85 minutes, one act play, and we also have an exhibition that is on alongside it. So this is a retrospective and current artwork. So we're going back about 20, 25 years of women's work. It's beautiful. And that's up in the mezzanine and in the foyer as you come in. So that is coupling the performance, and you get to see that and walk through it. It's just beautiful work, really beautiful.
Indeed it is. And let's talk about where it's going to be. Where's it going to be held?
It's at Chapel Off Chapel. We're currently rehearsing at Chapel Off Chapel. It's very exciting to be in the theatre. We're at the big theatre, the Chapel Theatre, and it starts on Thursday night. We open 7 p.m. Fiona Patton is opening the show, and the exhibition, and it goes through to Saturday. So there's 5 performances, including a preview.
Wonderful. And Kath, how does it feel to have all of these things said? I mean, they're really big achievements, really.
Yeah, absolutely. So my life is not so bad after all. That's all. I've done hard yards, I have, and I worked very hard to get where I'm sitting here now. We all have. We all have worked very, very hard, and I'm very proud, and I'm having a lot of fun. I am, actually. And I never would have ever had so much fun doing this sort of stuff, I don't suppose. I don't know. It's a wonderful, wonderful group, as Karen said.
And they've all had the lived experience of prison.
Yeah, it's really sad. Oh, no, not all of them, but, not everyone's been in prison, no. But, only a couple of us have had lived experience in prison, but Karen can tell you a bit more about the other people. Young people have had, parents and stuff like that, so they're exposed to all that nasty, ugly side of life that young people shouldn't be exposed to, having their families ripped out from under them, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, yes, because, this show has done a lot of interviews about the bail laws and about how young people in remand and raising the criminal age, so-called criminal age, because, really in some ways it's about locking up the poor.
Yes, it is.
So it's approximately 4:46 and you're listening to the Doing Time show, and I'm honoured to be able to interview Kath and Karen. Now, just a question, and please, I don't want this to look as if it's like a trick question, but do you think there'll ever be audio description for blind and vision impaired people for these particular productions?
Absolutely. I saw a show here with Donnie. I saw a show here, and they had the whole show for deaf people, and the whole show was, I know, it was something in the city. But, I don't know about blind people, but certainly audio, signing a whole show. I've seen it done, which is really cool.
Yeah, it can be done, and it's because often it can be very difficult for blind people to go to these productions because they won't be able to see what's happening, although plays are not that visual in many ways.
No, ours is very audio friendly. There's lots of songs that explain the story and push the story along, lots of monologues and bits and pieces. I reckon you could shut your eyes and be able to follow the story.
And I believe Indigenous Australians make up less than 3% of the Australian adult population. but represent over 30% of the national adult prison population.
Ah, yes.
With women.
Yeah. Both our young people are First Nations artists, and they're, it's very interesting. In terms of the show, we've got sort of the different generations. So we've got two 18, 19-year-olds. We've got people that are getting a little bit older than that, in their mid-30s, and then we're sort of going up and up from there. We've also, I think the eldest is about 64 or something, and then we've also got people, slightly culturally diverse. When we did the last show in the prison, we had probably about 9 cultures that were on stage, and it was sort of sensational. But we work with the people that are there, and this is what we've got. Going back to your question, I think it would be wonderful to have more accessible, in terms of for the vision impaired and audio cueing and stuff like that. So there's something that we could possibly ask about. It's not something that we haven't thought about. This show is everything is we've gone from the marathon, the long slow marathon, to the sprint. So everything is is happening sort of yesterday, and I think that these things are very important. I believe what Kath's saying is true. It's really important that we do have something. We will be putting out a 4-part podcast once this show comes down, which is Kath leading that, and she's one of the 5 women that actually introduced the podcast, and it's recorded in the women's prison just before when COVID lockdown happened. And they're giving some sort of, some background to the show and what it's all about and why the themes of the play are there and so on. So that's something that is going to be released very shortly. Yeah.
That is awesome. And Kath, do you have any... Oh, sorry, Karen. Did I interrupted you there?
Okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
What were you going to say?
I was just going to say that because I thought you meant like people watching the show and listening to it rather than... Yeah. Because would not be excluded if they had vision impairments from this show.
Oh, no. It's just good to ask questions about that, because it really sounds like your show has a lot of diversity, different cultures, Indigenous, non-Indigenous, and it is inclusive. And, and I was just making the point that it's so important to have that, everybody have access to that information because, as you and Kath were saying before, it's really important for people to understand that it's not just about prison. That people who go to prison, it could be anyone. I could go tomorrow, or an injury to one is an injury to all.
Yeah, indeed, absolutely. Yes.
And Kath, do you have any final comments about the performance? Are you nervous?
Oh yeah, I'm completely crazy nervous. I try not to think about that until it's the last thing I'm thinking before I go to bed. And then I'm I'm okay. We're okay. It's coming together really, really well. Lovely. It's lovely. Yes, I'm nervous.
And, I imagine, where's the podcast happening? How can we get access to the podcast? Will we know about that later?
We'll let you know. We thought we might wait till the play's just about to finish and we'll just...
Okay.
You drop a podcast, don't you? But we will definitely let you know. We're chasing our tail a little bit, but it's amazing that we've had permission to do this from Dame Phyllis to put that out there. So, we'd love it to be promoted and for people to hear it. It's pretty lovely. I mean, it's some interesting stuff in there for sure.
And let's plug that one more time about the date, time, and where.
Okay, so it's at Chapel Off Chapel. It's in the Chapel Theatre, the beautiful Chapel Theatre, in the mezzanine for the visual artwork, and it's the 25th to the 27th so it's Thursday night, Friday night at 7 p.m, both at 7 p.m, Saturday at 2 p.m, we need more people at Saturday 2 p.m, and 7 p.m.
Is it fairly sold out, or are there lots of tickets?
The opening night sold out. It's gone. Yes. But there's, and also too, if people, it's a very, It's a very reasonably priced show. The most expensive ticket is $30, and then it's $12 and whatever. If people are, particularly for the matinee on the Saturday, if people really want to bring some people along, we're more than happy to have people there. We just want people to see it. So we're more than happy to pass on complimentary tickets for the shows that particularly the Saturday matinee, because we've got quite a few seats available still for that one. But yeah, so we just want people to see it because it's wonderful, and we want to meet people that I'm sure there's a lot of interesting people that will be coming to see the show as well.
I hope so. I'm sure there will be. And how do you book tickets?
Just through chapel.com. I think it's .com.au. Yeah. And if you go to the Somebody's Daughter Theatre website, it has a link to the poster there. But it's Chapel Off Chapel.
And that will get you to that.
And that gets you straight to the book tickets of She Swallowed That Lie. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming onto the program, Kath and Karen. It was really great talking to you both.
Oh, look, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time and the great work you do.
Oh, thank you. And I hope you've had a lot of other media exposure besides us.
We've had a bit. Yeah, it's terrific. Yeah, no, it's really good. So
I hope ABC got hold of this, did it?
Yeah, we've got. I think there's a radio thing, and there's something in that. There's something coming up in the future. So, yeah.
But 3CR is very well known for providing a safe environment for minority, vulnerable communities and marginalised groups, and in particular our show does have a special focus on the stories of lived experience of prison.
Indeed, yeah, no, it's great, and it's wonderful that voice is put out there in such a strong way.
Thanks so much, Kath and Karen. Take care. Good luck with the show.
Bye-bye. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hi, we're the Marindas, and you're listening to 3CR Community Radio 855 AM.
All the way from Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and touring Australia for the very first time is folk duo Watch House, formerly known as Mandolin Orange. From coffee houses to major festivals, Watch House has played it all, with their heavenly harmonies, songs and music. Watch House play the Melbourne Recital Centre 11th of October with support from the wonderful Charm of Finches. Also playing at Out on the Weekend at Seaworks in Williamstown 8th of October. Love Police, proud supporters of 3CR.
Brave men fall with the battle cry. Tears fill the eyes of their loved ones and their brothers in arms. So it went for Joseph Warren.
And we're nearing the end of our show. Goodbye from Marissa, and thanking all our guests for coming today. And don't forget to go to She Swallowed a Lie, playing at Chapel Off Chapel from 25th to the 27th of August, and book tickets for that. Approximately 4:56, it's goodbye from Marissa. Stay strong and take care of each other. Stay tuned every Monday from 4 till 5 for the Doin' Time show. And we're going to be going out now with our theme song, Black Fella, White Fella from the Rumpy Band. Bye.
As long as you a true fella, as long as you a real fella. All the people of different races with different lives in different places, it doesn't matter what your name is. We got to have lots of changes. We need more brothers if we're to make it. We need more sisters if we're to save it. Are you the one who's gonna stand up and be counted? Are you the one who's
You've been listening to a 3CR podcast produced in the studios of independent community radio station 3CR in Melbourne, Australia. For more information, go to allthews.3cr.org.au.